Alex, I spent 3 hours yesterday playing Twister in a crawl space that smelled like wet boots and regret, all because someone 40 years ago thought they were a virtuoso with a propane torch.
Let me guess. You found a tiger-style solder joint? A big old glob of silver hanging off the bottom like a stalactite?
Worse, it looked like they tried to frosting the pipe with a dandelion, just a bird's nest of cold solder and hope. It finally gave up the ghost and decided the homeowner's subfloor needed a private swimming pool. It's the eternal struggle, really. Do you go with the old school metal that's seen us through the century? Or the flexible plastic stuff that feels a bit like you're plumbing with a garden hose?
We're talking copper versus PEX, the great plumbing schism. It's basically the analog versus digital of the workshop world, isn't it?
It really is. And people get religious about it. You've got the old guard who thinks if you aren't smelling burnt flux, you aren't really working. Then you've got the new generation who wants to knit a house's plumbing in 45 minutes.
Well, if we're going to help people decide what to run through their walls, we should probably start with the gold standard. Copper. My dad treats copper pipes like they're holy relics. Why the obsession?
Because copper's honest. It's been the undisputed heavyweight champion since, well, forever. It's naturally biostatic, meaning it actually hates bacteria. It's like the pipe has its own immune system. You put a copper line in, and 50, 60, maybe 70 years later, it's still sitting there doing its job, assuming your water chemistry isn't basically battery acid.
But the price, Tiger. I looked at the rack at the hardware store the other day. I thought I was at a jewelry counter.
No kidding. Buying a bundle of Type L copper right now feels like you're diversifying your investment portfolio. It fluctuates with the global market. One week you're a plumber, the next you're a commodities trader trying to figure out if you can afford that 3/4 inch elbow.
And the labor. You don't just click copper together. You have to sweat it, which sounds a lot more romantic than it actually is when you're upside down in a dark basement.
It's an art form, Alex. There's a specific smell to it, that acrid, sweet scent of flux hitting hot metal. You have to clean the pipe until it shines like a new penny, apply the paste, heat it just until the flame turns green, and then, flick, the solder zips into the joint by capillary action. When it works, you feel like a wizard. When it doesn't, you usually end up setting a floor joist on fire.
Okay, so copper is the prestigious, expensive, I might burn my house down option. Enter PEX cross-linked polyethylene. To the uninitiated, it looks like high-end Lego tubes.
It's the modern marvel, for sure. If copper is a rigid mahogany table, PEX is a bungee cord. It comes in these massive coils. You can run one continuous line from your basement manifold all the way to the master shower without a single fitting in between. No joints means no places to leak.
Wait, so no elbows? You just bend it?
Exactly. You snake it through the studs like a noodle. And because it's flexible, it's a dream in cold weather. If the water freezes in a copper pipe, that pipe turns into a pipe bomb. It splits right down the seam. But PEX, it's got a bit of give. It expands when it freezes, and then mostly shrinks back down when it thaws.
Okay, so it's cheaper, it's faster, and it won't burst in a polar vortex. What's the catch? There's always a catch with you, Tiger.
You're learning. First off, PEX is a vampire. It hates the sun. If you leave a coil of PEX sitting on the back of your truck in the driveway for a few weeks, the UV rays will eat its soul. It becomes brittle and fails. It's strictly an indoor cat.
And what about the plastic aspect? People get weirded out about drinking through plastic.
That's been the big debate. There are different types, PEX A, B, and C. PEX A is the king. You can expand it with a tool, and it remembers its shape to seal onto the fitting. B is more common, usually uses those crimp rings you were playing with. While they're all rated for potable water, some folks just prefer the zero chemicals feel of metal. Plus, you can't use PEX everywhere. Most codes won't let you run it right up to the water heater. You need a transition of copper or CPVC for the first 18 inches so the heat doesn't soften the plastic.
You mentioned tools. If I want to switch to PEX, I can't just use my pliers, can I?
No, and that's where they get you. To do PEX A, you need an expansion tool that costs more than a decent car payment. PEX B uses a crimper, which is cheaper, but you still have to be precise. If that ring is even an eighth of an inch off, or if you don't calibrate your tool, you won't know you messed up until your living room ceiling starts dripping.
So, let's get down to brass tacks, or copper ones. If you're repiping a whole house, which way are we swinging?
If I'm looking at a massive commercial job or a big residential repipe where the budget is tighter than a rusted nut, PEX A all day, it's too fast to ignore. You save so much on labor that the tool pays for itself in a weekend. But if I'm doing a high-end bathroom remodel, something I want to show off, I'm running copper. There's a certain thunk to the water pressure in a copper-piped house. It doesn't rattle. It feels permanent.
It's the craftsman choice. But for the DIYer who's just trying to fix a leaky sink under the vanity,
For the weekend warrior, those push-to-connect fittings, the ones that rhyme with Markbite, are tempting, but they're pricey and controversial. I'd say get yourself a PEX B crimp tool. It's the middle ground. It's approachable, it's reliable, and you don't need a permit from the fire department to use it.
so the takeaway is use copper if you want to leave a legacy, use PEX if you want to finish before the football game starts.
Pretty much. Just remember, no matter what you choose, water is a patient enemy. It's just waiting for you to get sloppy. Whether you're soldering or crimping, do it with some pride. Clean your ends, check your rings, and for heaven's sake, don't use a dandelion to flux your joints.
Lesson learned. Next time I see a tiger-style stalactite, I'm calling you out of retirement.
Deal, but I'm charging double for crawl spaces.